The 2025 FORTH2O Partnership Assembly featured a number of Commissioning Fund projects. Here is a brief summary of a few of them.
It's called the Forth Resilient Water Landscapes Initiative. It focuses on the upper Forth catchment. So there's forestry, there's agriculture, there's a lot of drained peatland. So different land use pressures and different climate change pressures like flooding and water scarcity, etc., are all sort of impacting. So our project is trying to address that by taking an approach where we work with local farmers, forestry, different sectors, bring collaboration together with that by engaging the communities as well, but then overlay that with this land manager cluster model. So we're taking it from farm clusters, which is a very successful model down south. A lot of them are up and running and very successful. We want to see if we can integrate that across sectors. We want to involve communities as well, and just make sure that we are representing the wants and the needs of the place-based circumstances to see if we can figure out what nature-based solutions could deliver the most impact in the region. We've got a website, the Forth Rivers Trust website. If you Google us, we're on all the socials, channels, Instagram, Facebook, etc. We put out newsletters about various projects that people can follow. So yeah, get in touch.
So Keep Scotland Useful is Scotland's charity for the environment, and we look at a range of interventions such as zero waste, litter picking. You might know us from Green Flag Schools, Eco School Scotland, and then my project, which is focused on the impacts that climate change is having on our heritage. So we've been working across some of the working groups. I'll look at the Cultural and Heritage one, and we're working with the University of Stirling on a project looking at how people live in their blue communities, the impacts that climate change is having on their coastal heritage, and looking at identity and diversity themes within that. So we're going to be working with our 3 communities, and we're aiming to deliver some bespoke climate change training and how it's impacting coastal environments by March 2026, and see how that filters in with the wider project. And if people do want to get involved, they can just get in touch. I'm also really keen to speak to anyone who's maybe developing heritage projects that might want to look at the impacts of climate change or skills development. So if anyone wants to get in touch, please do so.
Our project is called Blue Communities of the Forth River Basin, and the premise of it really is that coastal communities often bear the brunt of management decisions that are made quite distant from the coast itself, and also storm events and pollution episodes that move through the catchment take on board pollution and interact with land use and get delivered to these coastal communities, and that impacts on the water quality for these communities. So for example, some people retire to coastal communities and benefit from health and well-being benefits of being at the coast. Other people visit on day trips and use it for recreation. Other people have livelihoods out of blue space at coastal spaces and use it for fishing and for trade. And all these competing demands create conflicts of interest. And what we want to do is try and develop an approach that recognises the different values in coastal communities, and look at how we might be able to resolve some of these conflicts that arise. So that's the general premise of the project. The approach itself will use participatory workshops where we ask people to share their local knowledge, anecdotal evidence, which we think is really important to complement some of the more kind of objective evidence that's presented in the form of models and of data sets that SEPA have. And then ultimately what we want to do is combine all of the sort of activities that we do through walking interviews and through amplifying lived experiences and stories with the evidence to create a sort of online game, a way of thinking about how we might run scenarios in the future for making decisions.
Green Space Scotland are a charity. Our focus is on urban green spaces and blue spaces, and we work to ensure that those spaces are accessible to people, good quality, and that they're well looked after and managed for people, nature and the environment. So our project that we're working on for FORTH2O is called Lynburn Voices, and it's a project that's all about stories. And it's not just the story of a river, but it's also a story of the people who live alongside it and how their lives have been shaped by the changes that have recently happened to Lynburn. So when I'm talking about the project, I've tried to think about it from the point of view of the Lynburn and how it might tell you the story. So I am Lynburn. For years I have flowed in places hidden, contained and almost forgotten beneath the city. But now I have a voice and I want to discover what it means to be part of my community's story. I run through Fife, rising in the northeast of Dunfermline, and I pass through communities, I connect nature, I go through Rex Park, and finally I meet the Firth of Forth. My ebb and flow has always been here, shaping lives in quiet ways, and my route is home to heritage and history. And Lynburn Voices explores how my transformation touches everyday lives. It is a community storytelling and a creative evaluation project.